trash anymore.
Come on, that's not a compliment. That's sticking it to a guy.
Well, so you can't really stick it to a guy that's playing. That's about to play in the second-round series.
Apparently Saturday. That doesn't matter to Draymond Green. So here's the one thing that really stuck out to me.
Give it to us.
The part about Nurkic, and you got to be careful when you're not that successful and you don't have a lot of control over your own success and you don't affect the outcomes of game. Okay. So Draymond Green, here's what bothers me about the statement and kind of who he is.
And I understand you being bothered.
Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer. Okay.
Rudy Gobert is going to be a Hall of Famer too.
He's played with Steph, Clay, and Kevin Durant. All right. It bothered Draymond an unbelievable amount when Barkley called him a coattail
I'll never forget
of those guys. Yeah. But here's the thing that I'm fascinated by with Draymond. He's talking to Nurkic about you got to be careful. If you're not a great player and you can't affect the outcome of the game. Now, Draymond's a great player. But don't you think that a guy who played with Curry, Durant, and Clay should be like, where's the humility? Like what he's inferring right there is, I'm Curry. Like, I am Steph Curry. I affect outcomes like Steph Curry. And this isn't about whether he affects outcomes or not. He does. He's a hugely important player. But there's something about Draymond Green where he is hell-bent on making people believe that he's as important as Curry. Like, it was the big three, and there is no delineation. It was the big four, but it was KD, Clay.
But they're not part of this. He was looking at it through the prism of, I impact the game more than Nurkic.
Yes, but what I'm saying is he's also unable to look at his own team and say, you know what, maybe with our big three, it's Steph number one, and then Clay in our prime. And then I was the best defensive player, but I was kind of third in the pecking order. But that's okay because we won 4 titles. Like there's this arrogance of him thinking he can be the judge of what is successful, what is not successful, who has impact on winning and losing, and to go after if you are a Hall of Famer. And you think you're as important as Curry and Clay in the big three. Why are you dealing with Yusuf Nurkic?
Because he's the guy that
he's a nobody.
He got him suspended.
He's a nobody.
He talked about him when he came back, Steiny. So there is history there. And you're probably not the only one bothered, but you got to give Draymond Green credit for this, being consistent at who he is and what he does and what he believes.
Okay.
And Rudy Gobert, he feels has won 2 or 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards that should have went to him. So there's that. And that's why when we're talking about Draymond Green and you're laughing that, that's not a compliment, it's a backhanded compliment. He did remove Gobert from trash to his way of giving him a compliment. And Nurkic, there's just bad blood, Steiny. And Nurkic, I'm not saying it's right. He represents why I got suspended, why I let my team down. And I heard that sound with Curry on TNT talking about absences. He was talking about Draymond Green about, the season maybe being different. So, Steiny, he's a competitor. He can't stand that they're at home. I get that. But never in a million years was Dre not going to take a shot at Nurkic for getting swept.
So,
not saying it's right.
Yesterday, before the show,
tell me,
Evan and I were talking because we talked heavily about the Warriors and the off season, and we really batted around like what would your number one priority be? I'll just ask you, what would be your number one priority with the Warriors?
It's clear as day.
Oh,
Get a superstar here alongside Steph Curry.
Okay.
Malcolm X.
Forget that. Forget that.
Any means necessary.
I put it like this. You got to use a Warrior. Like, who are you?
Jonathan Kuminga.
Okay.
I'm willing to part with his bright future.
That's what I'm asking.
So
yesterday I said to Evan, what's your big priority? Like, what's your big priority? Not like, let's get Durant in here, like what you would like to see done with the Warriors personnel. And he said, you know what, Steiny? I think their first priority should be getting off Wiggins. I said, okay, I got that. And then you said, I think their priority should be, let's get off Kuminga to get a big boy.
Because dangle your number one asset.
So yesterday, this was before I heard the sound. Uh-huh. I swear to God, Evan can be my witness. He said to me, well, what would your biggest priority be? And of course, I hemmed and hawed like the great ones do.
I can hear it right now.
And I wanted to say Clay, but I said, you know what? To me, it's not Clay. He would be like the emotional big thing.
No
but
doubt.
Like, if you re-sign Clay or he walks, to me, that's not okay. That's going to happen. And I said, you know what? I think my first priority would be to try to get off Draymond.
Wow.
That's what I said.
Did that sound like a guy that is worried about his future or tenure in the Golden State?
We can get to that.
Okay.
We can get to that.
Because that's where I went, and he sounded like he knows he's going to be a Warrior.
So I was just like, you know what? I think I would try to get off Draymond. After the last 2 years.
Now, how much is this, real quick, Steiny, and how much of this is personal?
With Draymond? Zero.
No, when you put yourself, if you were around him every day,
I'm
not
around any of these guys. I'm not around any of these guys.
But sometimes I wonder if we talk about him to where you're like, Guru, I would quit my job if I had to be or work with a guy like that.
No, I find him very entertaining. And there's some stuff about, like, did the Warriors come out and play?
Yeah.
I'm laughing my ass off. But he does some stuff that drives me crazy. But when I think about him, I only think about him as a Warrior and his future with the Warriors and will he be here for the rest of his contract, this, that, and the other thing. So anyway, yesterday I was just like, Evan, I think I might try to move off Draymond.
That was your number one.
Really, Steiny, why? And I said, just
this is
I know
what
it's
going to
be hard. I know it's going to be hard, but the last 2 years he has really negatively impacted. I'm worried that that's not going to go. And then I heard that today.
Right.
And here's what I thought to myself. Why would anybody want to play with Draymond Green?
Because he's going to give you everything he has now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's going to give you everything he has when everything's going his way. He's going to give you everything he has when everything's going right for him. Like, I'm starting to think, what free agent would want to come here under the way the situation is?
Well, Chris Paul is Exhibit A.
He got traded here. He got traded here. Right.
But he could have caused a stink and said, I'm not playing if my disdain for Draymond Green was that great.
He's like, no.
He's not going to give up.
He didn't do that. Wait a minute. I'm not saying he's such a problem that guys who get traded here aren't going to come. I'm saying, why would a guy want to come here and play with Draymond Green?
That's a bad comp.
I mean,
people saying, let me let you finish.
Yeah, I mean, why? Like, he's a killer.
Well, everything was going good when he went.
You guys aren't even in the playoffs.
And that I got. I wouldn't have did a pod. Now, I would have did a pod, Steiny. I'm being real about just the state of the playoffs and everything I said, but it's kind of funny he didn't have anything to say about LeBron losing in the first round.
These guys, the Warriors have Draymond Green under contract for 3 more years. And I've watched how the last 2 years have gone. And I get it. In the grand scheme of things, Draymond does a podcast and he talks S on it. Big deal.
No doubt.
But you listen to that and you hear a guy who's not even in the playoffs just interjecting himself with all this negativity and calling guys trash. And it's the same guy who says to Bonte Hill, I'm surprised you're even talking to me.
Yeah.
Why, Draymond? Because Bonte questioned your suspension, and because Bonte Hill said Draymond getting suspended is not great for the team, and that maybe they should think about life without him.
I'm feeling you on that.
He can do.
Well, Nurkic did the same thing as Bonte.
Can't do that to Draymond Green.
Nobody
but Draymond Green can pillage, and that's okay.
It's a double standard, and you are right with the Bonte count.
And all I'm saying about a double standard is, it gets old after a while. But you can't tell me, you, Daryl the Guru Johnson, can't tell me. There's no way this team is not getting sick of Draymond Green.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And that's why, to me, he's the number one priority.
That's deep. I feel how you feel.
We can't, honest to God, if I'm Mike Dunleavy, how can we move forward as a franchise with Draymond? Because as long as Draymond's here, it will be Draymond.
But it can't continue.
No, but you cannot grow in that environment as much as other positive environments as a teammate of his and as a team. It's like this stuff just never stops. It's just not going to stop.
But I would call you in a room.
They can't be successful anymore with this guy.
I got to be careful. Hey, but they must feel differently than you. And Steiny, I got to say this.
I don't necessarily believe that anymore. I'm
not going to use rap sheet because that has a negative connotation to it. But if this has you in an uproar, this is minute compared to what you really should be in uproar about. Like, we're so down the road and past the exits of, can you believe he did it again? And what's the penalty or price to pay? This is kind of nothing. This is whistling Dixie. This is Draymond being Draymond. And you know what, partner? They signed up for this.
Sean John, Steiny, this is why no one likes or respect radio or media people, because you guys think that you have the right to talk about someone's job and money and not have them be offended. You know what, Sean? You're missing the point completely. I haven't even criticized Draymond Green. I'm saying, why would he do this?
Because he can.
I know he can, but just because you can do, how does it help? Like, what function is it serving? And again, I'm not dealing with Draymond's livelihood, but why? And I'll ask you this, Sean John: why can Draymond do it, but other people can't do it to him? You cannot tell me. You cannot tell me that they're not.
Well, where'd the report come from a couple weeks ago? Who was the report? Well, what was the outlet, Steiny?
Congratulations, you've been drafted by the Warriors. You get to play with Draymond Green.
Yeah, inside the Warrior organization, that Draymond's
Zach Lowe. They're growing tired of Draymond Green.
So you may be onto something.
Steve Kerr. Draymond knows if he's no longer worth the hassle, we're going to move him.
But these comments, Steiny, got you over the top. Like, you're doing the 360 dunk. I love it. But to me, it's like, I almost want to use your word. Really? Like, this ain't even get on the Richter scale.
It's fine.
But the Zach Lowe piece, we don't know how true it is. And then, Steph and Draymond are different, and that's what makes them great. But I will say this, and I'm not defending Dre, Steiny. At the end of the day, I know they did not make the playoffs. They lost in 6 last year in the conference semis. But Steiny, he is a 4-time champ.
He's done.
Nurkic is 3-17.
I don't mean he's done. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. Like, that part's done. He's just a guy on a team that didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. Read the freaking room.
He can't.
Right. And what I'm saying is, in the grand scale of things, sure, this doesn't mean but what hit me is this guy, how can you move forward?
You said grow.
How can you grow? No, I don't see it.
They love him more than we do, Steiny.
So far.
All right.
So far, but like, you can't tell me you can't tell me it's just a coincidence that for the first time in his entire career, the Warriors have started to talk about moving on from him. They have started to talk about moving on from him. And when I hear this, I'm thinking, he was your answer before you heard this.
Boy.
I mean, like, I get everything he does on the court, but this exhaustion from him, hurts the Golden State Warriors. It hurts the Golden State Warriors. I think it's going to be like, how do you going to bring Durant back? We'll get into that in a second. You're going to bring Durant back. Okay.